Well, for more perspective on falling birth rates, I'm joined live via Skype by Rachel Nugent. She's the Vice President at RTI International, a non-profit that provides research and technical services to governments and commercial clients. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So then, how soon could we start seeing the economic impact of these lower childbirth rates with this latest surge?
Well, we're seeing some of it already because part of the change that we've seen happen is in migration. And the U.S. has enjoyed a faster population growth for a number of decades, faster than other high-income countries because of in-migration. Well, that has slowed recently, as we know, and also because of economic recession, not just COVID-related recession from last year, but even the economic decline that happened in 2010, 2011. When people have economic uncertainty, they don't have as many children. They wait, they see what's going to happen, they want to have certainty. And so we've seen this decline happening, and so we're already seeing some economic impact from the drop in migration and the workforce that we get from immigrants.
So for people who are wondering why this matters, talk about some of the short and long-term impacts of falling birth rates and what they actually look like in real terms in the economy.
Yes, sure. Let's break down some of those impacts that we might expect. As I mentioned, already with lower in-migration, we're seeing some labor shortages and bottlenecks in some sectors where immigrant labor has been essential. But the broader decline in birth rates is another story. It will take a while to be fully felt, and there will be some positive impacts as well as perhaps some negative ones. It depends on how we respond to it. So on a positive note, what we can see is that there will be some greater investment in the children that people do have. We've seen that already for some decades. Couples have been having fewer children. They're investing more in those children. Those children are raised to have better nutrition. They have better educational opportunities. And that makes them more productive in the workforce. So that's the positive story. And that's something that we've seen globally as well, as many countries that are lower income countries have achieved lower fertility rates. And those families with fewer children can invest more in each of those children. That's a big motivator for investment. And that helps the whole economy. It builds what we call human capital. Now, on the other side, we still need to have a strong labor force. We need to have enough people in the labor force. And when we have a long period of lower birth rates and less immigration, we don't have as many people entering the workforce. We do want those people to be more productive, so that's why that investment in children is good. But we may not have enough people to support the older age population that you mentioned earlier.
So then as you talk about the workforce then, what are some of the most impacted sectors of the economy that come with this trend?
Yes, well, from the time that people start entering the labor force, often they're in lower wage jobs. We all, as teenagers, had fast food jobs. So they start as they are sort of building their human capital. They may start in low wage jobs, similar to new migrants as well. So those sectors could be significantly affected, are already affected by COVID. Of course, we saw that last year, but they could continue to have labor shortages and need to think about making better work conditions and higher wages to attract people into those positions.
So then what has been revealed about the lack of financial security that the pandemic has caused, as well as these sort of changing migration patterns?
Yes. Lack of financial security is a big factor behind people's decisions to have a family and to grow their family. We all know that feeling, and we've seen it in the demographics of the U.S. For some time now, is the decision to not have that third child, perhaps, because it's expensive to have children. So financial security and the labor force that we've seen develop over the last few decades has afforded people less financial security because there's more transition among jobs. Pensions are not secure or not even offered anymore. There's just a lot more fluidity in the labor market, so people don't feel that security. They hold back on having that additional child, and there are policies that can help fix that, help secure a stronger, more vibrant set of conditions so that people feel more comfortable having that extra child if they are more secure. We could talk about those if you like.
So then, just quickly, yes, if you compare the economic issues stemming from COVID in developed versus developing countries, what can governments do? What should they be doing to really incentivize this?
Yes, and some countries are, as you mentioned, other high-income countries have preceded the U.S. in seeing these drops in birth rates. We're just behind because we have enjoyed the benefit of strong migration and stronger birth rates heavily from the Hispanic population that exists in the U.S. But Italy, Japan, Korea, they've all been contending with much lower birth rates than the U.S. has had for a while. And how have they responded? They put in place policies that are conducive to all adults working, so especially inviting women into the labor force, having good childcare policies, having flexible working hours, all of these kinds of things that will make it attractive to be in the workforce, but also possible to raise a family. And the U.S. is not so strong in those areas, and that's definitely something that I think should be on the table to help build that strong workforce going into the future that we need.
Certainly hope so. Thank you so much. Rachel Nugent there, Vice President of RTI International.